Hello and welcome along to Off the Court, your weekly guide to all things Vitality Netball Superleague here on that there YouTube. I'm Caroline Barker alongside someone who makes walking to the shop all about a shuffle shot. Scotland coach and owner of a room just for her Superleague medals, Tamsin. Actually, Tamsin Greenway, do you not just keep your medals in a sock? I've never asked you that.
In a sock? I might start now.
Yeah. Where do you keep them?
In a cupboard.
Don't.
On the walls. Round the neck.
Oh yeah, too many of them in the garage, built an extension just for them. Hey, it's not all about us. Coming up, not one but two rounds to savour. We'll also save your nerves when it comes to England's Commonwealth Games selection. And Tamsin will shine her light on the coaching move of the week. Well, with another coach, hopefully, fingers crossed. Tamsin, this weekend, a couple of games for each club. There were heavy hits, there were injuries, tight matches. What did you think of it?
Yeah, it was incredible, wasn't it? Round 7 and 8, I think 10 matches, 5 of those games separated by just 6 goals. And really, you could probably throw the Loughborough Bath game in there as well, because it only blew out right at the end. So I think it's one of the closest rounds we've seen. You mentioned some of the injuries there as well. Some key players that we saw go off across the weekend. Emily Hollingworth-Venter, Marie Venter at Mavericks, and of course Emma McGee at Storm. So some big sort of reshuffling for teams to have to do and have to look at and have to cope with the back-to-back games. But I was really impressed with some of the standout matches.
Standout matches, standout players. Everyone's been talking about Rebecca Aries' impact when she came on that last quarter. Stars 49, Leeds 53. Thunder just impressive again. They tripled Rhinos' first quarter, scoring their win over Leeds Rhinos this weekend. So everyone playing a couple of games. What was your standout match of the weekend then?
Well, I'm going to pick a couple because, I can't just stick to one. But I think the ones for me were the ones that are going to make the most impact on the Final Four come the end of the season. And yes, I can say that at the minute because who you're beating, who you're coming up against, and some of these goal-for-goal games are going to matter when it comes to crunch time. So Pulse getting that win over Storm, 56-50. Fumi being Fumi. I mean, are we going to say that every single week? But the step up of players like Sasha McDonald, who was really, really impressive. But then flip it a day later, Storm beating Mavericks and taking the opportunity of matchups. And I said this at the beginning of the season, it's going to be about who plays well against each other in certain positions. And when you take advantage when people are missing no Gabby Marshall, no Marie Venter, Storm took control of that match and got over the line at 55-53 in a bit of a nail biter. But of course, the game really of the rounds was that Loughborough Bath. It was the game I wanted to watch last week. I couldn't wait for it and it did not disappoint.
You got to watch it from a very comfy sofa with the world watching you too. That was your weekend. This is how your table looks after it. Thunder and Lightning make up your 100% club. Pulse and Mavericks, they're in the top 4 with games in hand for Bath and Rhinos. It's all going to go off on finals weekend, although it is a long way off yet though. Always good to see every team has a win under their belt too. Right, we're going to bring our first guest of the week on in a bit. But first, the working out of who makes your coaching move of the week and why. So much choice, Tamsin. But you're going for what happened during the Lightning Wasps game. And Lightning, who we've been threatening to talk about for a couple of weeks now, just how good they are.
Yeah, we got a double whammy. We got to witness them, didn't we? Streaming and then on the TV. And I think, look, we're going to be honest. The poll for who was going to win, Wasps or Loughborough, was very highly strung in Loughborough's favour. I don't think anybody thought Wasps would take it to them. Wasps were up at half-time, granted only by 1, but they're the first team to do that to Loughborough Lightning this season. And one of the biggest areas that they frustrated Loughborough was in that attacking circle, was bringing that ball into the end third. Somewhere where Loughborough dominate on that third line with your Beth Cobdens, your Nat Panagaris, your big arms, your hustle, your hassle. Well, they got absolutely nothing off Wasps, and it took a major change and a brave change in defence, bringing on the young Ella Bowen, who went on to get player of the match to take that game. And I've picked out a couple of clips that are going to show just exactly what Wasps were doing and the coaching move of the weekend for me, with how Vicky Burgess brought her team, got them into the game and got them over the line at the end. So we're going to take a look at this Loughborough defensive end. This is Wasps in the second quarter. They won this 18-14, and just look at the way they're playing the ball around. Loughborough not sure what to go on, trying to protect that circle, but Rachel Dunn's exit time and time again, and the patience and recycling of the ball back to the line was just a nightmare for the defence. To keep your eye on Alice Harvey here. She tries to go on this ball, doesn't get it. Then does she go on Dunn? Does she go on Paris? She's not sure, goes on no one. And that was the offload. And that was kind of the story of the game. So Vicky Burgess brings on Ella Bowen. There she is in shot there. Doesn't get that ball off Paris, but just watch that footwork. This is the last 29 seconds of this second quarter, trying to stop Wasps desperately getting another goal. They're having to play it wide. Loughborough doing a better job at keeping the width, but still not sure what ball they can go on. But again, keep your eye on Bowen. She is hassling Paris. They haven't now got that outlet, having to swing it long, and they do enough to stop that final goal going in. And that was kind of the story as Bowen built into this game. She ended up getting 1 intercept, 5 deflections, 2 turnovers, and just watch her in shot here again. She just keeps her footwork working on Paris, keeps her in shot. She doesn't give her an inch at all. And look at this agility and speed to come through onto the ball. She was feisty, fiery, just what that Loughborough defence needed. And wow, they needed it at that point. Really brave decision, but a decision that paid off.
Well, as you can see, Loughborough Lightning coach Vicky Burgess joins us. I was expecting you on the coach on the way home after a mammoth weekend. It must have felt like you were travelling all weekend.
Yeah, I feel like I've been hit by a bus a bit this morning, and I'm sure the girls do as well. But no, it was a good 2 from 2 from us, and it's always a challenge. But these girls train week in, week out for these games, and as you've seen, they were ready to take the court last night, so it was awesome.
Yeah, they were ready. You ready too. Tamsin's just been talking about Ella Bowen. For those that don't know her, she's been part of the Roses Academy set up from 15? She's one of these real young futures for England and for you now turning up on court.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure many people know, but I started coaching Ella when she was about 12 years old up in the Northeast. She's originally from Durham, so it's really good to see her journey from that kind of grassroots club through the pathway in the Northeast, and then to taking the court on Sunday against Wasps, and the impact that she had when she came on was awesome to see.
But how important is it, because when we're watching these games as sort of spectators, how important is it to have variety in the structures you put out there? So your sort of starting lineups and your big names. To take someone like Fran Williams off and to give you something completely different, but to stay in a structure, like how much do you guys work on that, and how important is it for you as a coach that you have those different kind of players?
Yeah, we want these athletes to be pushing each other in that environment. So, the training sessions, we're always putting out combinations where the goalkeepers, goal defences are working together in different styles. And also it depends on what we come up against, and we can evaluate people's strengths and what we need from them in that moment. So I suppose kind of on Sunday's game, we needed somebody to be brave and challenge ball, and do the work off the ball to then as we get them running up the court, to actually run our feet onto the ball. And she did a really good job of doing that.
Well, fast forward 24 hours later and you're up against Team Bath, and I loved your interview at the start when you talked about telling your defenders to go and be brave, and I think we certainly saw that. We saw players going on all kinds of stuff, and you're resorting back to that sort of starting defensive unit.
Yeah.
What was the difference? What does that look like for you? Because I was trying to explain that on the TV. What does brave look like for you? What instructions did you give your players? Because you need Nat and Beth out the front to do a job if Alice and Fran are going to win ball. And I think they went from doing 6 balls in against Wasps in the first half to 22 against Team Bath. So what does that look like for Loughborough?
Yeah, I think you nailed it there as well. It's the work that they do as a unit. And I think brave for me is that, we've showed, even in times and moments where we didn't win ball against Bath and Wasps, we certainly are putting them under pressure and forcing the ball to go back up the court. And I suppose brave for me is having that, strength to be able to just sight something and give it a go, and have that trust in each other that if you don't get it, you put it under pressure, but the person behind you has got your back, and we build pressure that way. So I think it's important to note that it's not just one person being brave; it's the whole unit, getting them in positions where where we want them to be, so that we can actually run our feet to ball, challenge ball, and have that trust that we can back each other up. Should we not get it in that instance, but actually it's building pressure, and we can certainly have an impact that way.
Just quickly, 28th of March, you take on Thunder. Does that matter? Tamsin's probably going to shake her head now and say, nah, it doesn't matter. If we both end up top 2, what does it matter come the end of the season? But what do you use those games for when you're both the 100% club at the moment?
Yeah, I think that's what I think these last two games have been really positive for us in that, you know, we were put under pressure probably, like when we think about the Wasps game. You, derbies are always kind of challenging, and I suppose I probably wanted them to push on a little bit more in that, but actually the contest and the competition, them actually bringing it to us, you know, we found out that under pressure we can perform and we can be patient. So just looking forward to, you know, the top of the table clash on the 28th. You know, it's just knowing that in those moments we've had some games where we've experienced like really tight quarters, or, you know, we've lost quarters and we've came back from that. So it's having that belief in themselves that they can push on even when there's quarters that they haven't really, you know, performed in that one, but the next one we can do better. So those moments are great for us. And I think going into that game, you know, we've got a game before then that we've got to focus on, so I don't want to think too far ahead, but each quarter take it as it comes and trying to fix up from the last and continue to get better.
Yeah, 7 Stars next up. And a quick word on, it was Pride Match at the weekend supporting Leicester's LGBT Centre, which I know the party atmosphere, it looked brilliant. Are you proud of what the club achieved at the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we have some really supportive people in our community, and we have, you know, some really passionate players in our team who, you know, with charities and things that they want to promote. And I think for us, it's about being inclusive, culture, diversity, all of that. And I think we put on a fantastic event, and, you know, Nat kind of led that as to what she wanted her charity to be. Um, and as you said, like, it was a real party atmosphere. Like, it was so colourful, and everybody seemed to really love the environment. And it's just so important for people to feel that inclusivity, not only within our team, but like people that want to come to the games and support us. So we're really proud of that event, and, you know, our events team did an awesome job of pulling that together. So, you know, massively thank them after that game. It was awesome.
You'll be thankful we've probably only got about 20 seconds for this last question. We've got Jade Clarke coming up. Many said she should be England's next centre. Anyone you'd like to push for that?
Well, there's a couple of centre court that we've got in our squad. So I would just say keep an eye out on what they're doing. You know, they've shown some real kind of fantastic play when we've needed it under pressure. You know, Nat's obviously clearly one of those who's done really well for us on attack and defence, and has had a massive positive impact in both those playing ends, and has shown like some really good consistency this season. So yeah, I think keep an eye out for our attacking players, because they do want to push on, and I really do believe that they've got it in them as well.
Yeah, well, I'm 100% unbeaten. Obviously, what's good for the league is going to be good for internationals as well. Thanks so much for coming on, Vic. Your coaching move of the week. Next up, we've got surprise of the week, and it's not Jade Clarke, although I have just ruined that because she was a surprise until now, because I'm warning you, she is coming up just a little bit later in the show. You can use the hashtag off the court if you have a suggestion for someone we should get on, for Tamsin to analyse, for the good, the bad, and the could do better. On that note, Tamsin, we're going to go for surprise of this week. And it went to the good work of Lightning last week. We could have had them in again this week, but having just spoken to Vicky, probably not. Where are you off to this week?
Well, it has to be at Wasps, doesn't it? And I think we looked at areas they could improve on. No one had them going goal for Loughborough, especially being ahead at certain points in the game as well. But wow, did they turn it around. And what a big weekend for them. A convincing win against Dragons, 60-37. And look, that could have been one of those sort of mess-up games. You know, Dragons are playing well. You'd have expected them to push Wasps, but they cleared them aside. And then, of course, they came up against Loughborough. Absolutely nothing to lose. And that's kind of how they played. Big thing for me, their starting lineup, think they've got that right. Rachel Fee making an appearance at goal defence, really impressed with her. Leah Goss being given the opportunity in the middle. And finally, this Iona Christian and Rachel Dunn partnership thriving. And Iona Christian was good. Bearing in mind, she was up against Beth Cobden. And that's who we're going to look at. So we're going to pick this up there, those three key players. Iona Christian on the ball. The release from Rachel Dunn, not using her, but then look at that to the top of the circle and just that connection and no fear going in. Interestingly, the Wasps attack end, all four of them sharing the load on the feeding. You see Leah Goss just placing that ball into Rachel Dunn, who was outstanding in both positions, goal shooter and goal attack. Nothing fancy from any of them, but just getting themselves on the ball. Bearing in mind, Iona Christian up against Beth Cobden, who turned over no ball on her whatsoever. Big arms here from Rachel Fee at goal defence. Just watch her tracking Ella Clarke out of the picture. Ella Powell-Davis, the matchup of her and Hannah Joseph, causing all kinds of problems. Chollock having to exit the circle. And this here, you see the big arms from Fee. Bringing the ball through the court was so much better between Powell-Davis and Rachel Fee. And it's what they needed. Bearing in mind, last week, they throw 9 balls away as a wing defence, goal defence combination, the Wasps team. And nothing, hardly anything this week. And that ball again into Rachel Dunn. It was just really, really smart play. I think they've found themselves. And look, I'm not going to start saying they're going off to make top 4, but playing like that, they could upset some teams at the top. They can definitely beat the ones around them. And they could have a say on who's going to make that final playoff spot.
So one team that could be on their way to top 4, although again, you probably won't want to do that. Something maybe to improve for Storm this week.
Yeah, well, Storm, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Like, they've had a mixed weekend. They had that loss against London Pulse, but it was close, really close, 56-50. And then they had the victory over Mavericks. But I have to say, they were without Anna Marie Venter, without Gabby Marshall. Like, that's big in terms of how Saracens Mavericks have been playing and the consistency they brought. But they got themselves over the line. I think we were really excited when they brought in Proscovia Peace because of what a dominant shooter she was, and it was something that Storm were lacking. And while they're using her, you know, the relationship she's building with the feeders, Can Dapper's vision when she enters onto the court, and Mickey Austin's feeding into her, it's untouchable at the minute. However, the danger of having a dominant shooter means you get a lack in the goal attack. And I really rate Emma McGee, the Northern Ireland goal attack. Sadly, she went down injured in the Pulse game, but before that, she only put up one goal in that game against Pulse before she went off injured. And Frankie Wells, who came and replaced her, she just added 3 more to that. So 4 to the goal attack and something like 46 to Peace on her own. So when you've got that kind of disparity, it's a big problem because teams know how to defend you. Bearing in mind when they faced Mavericks and won the second day, Frankie Wells playing at goal attack, she put up 16 of the shots. You know, so 16, so much difference, and 39 to Peace. They're starting to get that more of an impact. And this is where I think Storm can be better. So we're just going to watch this clip here. Mickey Austin picks up the ball. Emma McGee coming into shot, does the shuffle shot, but no way ever looks to shoot. And Fumi Fidoju gets the ball back, and that got them into the game. Watch this play here. So she exits the circle, never really drives in with any intent to get it. And this girl can shoot, you know, comes back out the circle. They get the penalty, but even here, this ball goes over to Peace, but she's never really looking, McGee, like she wants the ball. So defenders know that she doesn't really want the ball. And where this becomes a problem is this play here. Proscovia's out the circle, Peace. She comes back in, but look at Emma McGee exiting, not really there again, doesn't really want that front ball, and there's a held ball. If you're only ever relying on one shooter, it just helps defenses tactically start to break down. It's a problem because mentally, you know, they want to feed the ball into Peace at the back, Proscovia Peace, but at the same time, you've got to find a way of bringing your goal attacks into the game.
Right, that's who could do maybe a little bit better. Who could do better? Us, probably, with our timing. Let's move on. Next up, how do you solve a problem at centre? Is it Betty Beth Cobden? Is it Nat Panagari? It's Jade Centre Clarke, of course. And this is Off the Court. A reminder to check out the Vitality Netball Superleague on social for all the latest behind the scenes, the gossip, the goals, the reports, and more. And you started your own debate this week, Tamsin Greenway, after Serena Guthrie announced her impending motherhood. It was all about who should be England's centre. Where did it go? What did people say?
Well, lots of shouts out for different players, obviously. There was the Nat Gary fan club, there was, of course, Laura Malcolm, but actually the biggest response was for our most capped English rose, Jade Clarke, and I'm not really surprised.
What is it about Jade, then, that just keeps on shining? And also, her ability when it comes to a tournament. We're loving her in the Super League, but how will that reflect in a tournament?
Look, I think Jade has been around for such a long time in a good way. She's the gift that keeps on giving. I think her game has constantly evolved. There's been question marks about whether she can play full games at centre, and yet, oh, hello, Leeds Rhinos, playing every week, week in, week out, 60-minute games, nailing for them, holding it together when that team needs it. But she's also been the impact on the world stage for such a long time. So we know what she can do at wing defence. We don't have any concerns about her defensive prowess, but Jess Delby has used her quite rightly as that impact change for Serena Guthrie, and we've seen it time and time again in recent test series, that performance against New Zealand. Jade has been the one to step up and start getting the ball in key moments, and she also brings a wealth of experience to that Rose's side, and I think that's why so many people are keen to see her get that role. And I think when we were talking about the Rose's selection, one of the toss-ups was sort of between Laura Malcolm and Jade Clarke, and it was like, how can you leave either one of them out? Well, that might not be the case now. They might both go. But I think Jade Clarke, just for me, has a little bit of edge at the moment. And these are the reasons why. I'm going to pick up a couple of clips here. This is Jade Clarke on the centre. This is against Seven Stars in round 7. A game they won quite closely. They won the second quarter 17-10. And in this game, Jade picked up 3 intercepts. We're going to pick her on the centre pass, just getting that quick ball back. Just look how cool, calm, controlled she is. The strength she has, the experience to just sort of arm off Iman Thomas there and then just place that ball in calmly to Sienna Rushton. I think that calmness in attack is something that England are definitely going to need. Watch her here. She's pointing. She's working with Emily Hollingworth. She's telling her team where to go. She understands the system and what they're trying to do. And when they get the turnover, she's pointing again. Where's the offload got to be from Rebecca Airy? She's quite happy and trusting to let the players do the job, get back on it and look at that quick play in. What I love about this is, look, they turn it back over again. Jade isn't annoyed. She isn't angry. She just turns. She gets back on her job. And this is really important on the turnover. Watch this quick sprint to get in front of Liana Leota. She's in position now. This is not just fluke. And look, she's quite happy to let her get the ball here. This is important again, the sprint to get, or the quick feet to get in front of Leota to be in good position when they get the turnover. And she's still got it coming down the court. Again, watch her drive into the end third and a placement into Rushton. She just does the simple things well. And at a time when you've lost a player like Serena Guthrie, a steady head and experienced hand of someone like Jade Clarke will be vital in a team that are going to be missing something big.
Well, she's only gone and joined us. Jade Clarke in the house. Well, her house, not our house. Jade, Tamsin just raving about you, rightly so, rightly so. Where do you think you are? Where's this kind of spring chicken come from at 38 years young? And how do you think you are physically, mentally, in terms of your career? There's a lot of questions there. Feel free to answer none of them.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, like what motivates me every day is the thought of being able to do something that people might not think is possible to do, and a challenge. So I think at my age, at 38, I wanted to show that the oldies can do it too. So that's what really keeps me motivated, and I'm just still enjoying it. I love going to training. I love being part of a team. I hate training on my own, so just love being part of that team setup.
I love that kind of still wanting to be there, that sort of motivation. I wonder what your goals are now, because I know for so long when we got into the England squad, all we wanted to do was beat Australia and New Zealand, and then we did that, and then all we wanted to do was a gold medal, and you went and did that. So what else is that motivation sort of internationally now? Like, where do those goals lie? Is it just in the winning, or is there far more to it?
Yeah, I think like for us, when we were like growing up and got on the England team, like it was always that gold medal, and so many people have contributed to that and getting us to that stage. And I always thought once I got my gold medal, I'd be out the door. But you just realise it's so much more than that, like the relationships you have, the coaches you get to work with, So now, like, my goal is like, are we able to back it up, and am I able to get in the team, and just those little things. But yeah, it's more than just a gold medal. And I think what we've seen, like with Serena this week and the response to it, it is so much more than that, and the impact you can have and the legacy you can leave as well.
100%. And just talking about your game, we touched on sort of the leadership elements and the calmness in attack. What is it that's going to get you guys across the line? Because the reality is, you're going into the Commonwealth Games as defending champions at home for Birmingham Series, so you're going to have all of that. But what is it you think that makes this team so special?
I think what's made it so special is like the depth. I don't think we've ever had this much depth before. I think Jess has done really well, especially in like these COVID years, of giving so many people opportunities. And you've got Australia and New Zealand players have been away, and while they've been away, younger players have stepped up and put their hand up and say, I want to be in this team now. So it's so competitive, but like we're all competing against each other, but also we really want to see each other do well, and it does feel like a family. We are really close. And the England team's always had lots of fun, so that's kept going. So yeah, I think that will be the difference for us this time.
We had Jess Thirlby in the studio on Monday, and she sort of talked about that character that Serena brought. And we were not talking about just what she brings on the court, but off the court as well. Who is the fun bus now in that team? Who is in that group? Right, they're going to bring the party.
Oh, you can't replace Serena. Like, she's the one giving us a performance in the change room before we went out. Always messing around, like to the point of harassing other people. So I think it's just got to be a full team effort. We've all got to bring the fun to replace what Serena's left. And yeah, she just, like, you just can't help but smile like when you think about her, and that's what she'll leave. And I hope we do get to see her in amongst the squad, like leading up to those Commonwealth Games as well.
The cheerleader on the sides, yeah, there's no keeping away from that. Both of you have played at the highest level. I don't need to remind you that, and continue to play, Jade, at that highest level. Can you take me into that moment? What's it like? The speed of thought, everything that goes through your head when you're playing at centre, or you're in the middle of the court playing up against the Australians, against New Zealand. What's going through your head? How's your heart rate? What does that moment mean?
I think those are the moments, like, why you play. Like, the bigger the crowd, the better. We're all like show-offs at heart. We want to be performing on that court with everyone watching. And I think it's just so important that you know what your role is, and you can just go back to that, like, this is what I've got to do in that moment. And you let the crowd help you as well. Like, the World Cup was so amazing to have that home crowd on our side. So letting that in, and letting the cheers like come in when you need it, and like connecting with your teammates. I always feel like if I'm struggling a bit in a game, I just try and smile, and it kind of turns you thinking around, or I'll try and connect with someone next to me. And I love the centre wing defence partnerships. I'll always be talking to my wing defence. So just little things like that to get you through.
Well, on that, Tamsin, what do players need to do now? And I'm sure Jade loves getting tips off you, but in this run up to the Commonwealth Games, how does a player use the Super League to their best advantage so that it counts come Birmingham?
Well, there's two ways of looking at it. The players at the moment have got a role to do for their team. You know, they want to make sure they're getting into the top four and competing for finals. But I think Jade hit the nail on the head with knowing about their role, you know, what part there is to play. And at this point in time, it's about performing week in, week out, but also then looking ahead about what's going to happen and what you can still add to your game. And I'm going to guess that there's conversations going on with the head coaches and that people understand what that's going to look like. And actually, my question to Jade would be, you've probably been sort of an impact player for England for the last couple of years. You've come on, we had that amazing series against New Zealand where you changed the game. If that role changes now and you become that starter or that leader, what does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I've experienced all kinds of roles in the team, like being a starter, being in the crowd, like coming on at half time. So I think just embracing your role and being ready for it, and talking to the coaches and knowing what you need to bring, and like you say, like using Super League for that. So I need to be dominating all the way through the game, like talking to Jess about what I need him to do. But yeah, I think it's kind of fun at the minute because every week also feels like a trial. You know, you're being watched and scrutinised, and I think as much pressure as you can put yourself under in these games week to week, the better you'll be come Commonwealth Games, because it's nothing but pressure at those World Cups and Commonwealth Games. So put yourself under pressure like during the week.
And does it help you having another new coach, so at Rhinos this season, just to experience a different style, maybe think about things differently?
Yeah, Tracy has been absolutely amazing. She's worked with so many of the great attacking players like Kim Green and Chelsea and everyone. So I'm like picking her brain all the time about what she can add to my game. And she's already like noticed lots of little things. And she's actually got us a call with Gabby Simpson on Thursday, a Zoom call with the team. So can't wait to pick her brain as well. So just all those little things, all those knowledge that she knows, getting as much as I can from her while she's here.
Love it, love it. Tamsin, you think Jade's born ready, always been ready to replace Serena? We've gone on about it. No one can replace Serena. You said it yourself, Jade. But Tamsin, you think that England are okay? We covered more than okay.
Look, we have the greatest amount of depth we ever had. Jade alluded to that earlier, and I have I'm under. There's no fear from me that we're going to pick a squad that can compete and can go on to win that gold. For me, Jade was in that squad before Serena announced her retirement and her pregnancy, and I'm sure if she continues to keep doing what she's doing, we will see her on the bus to Birmingham, and so she should. It's not just about her performances on court, but just even the way you hear her talking about this game, that leadership is going to be vital. Players that have been there, done it, seen it, got the t-shirt how many times, Jade? Like 157,000 times or something. And that is going to matter when it comes to crunch time.
There you go. You've got the Tamsin Greenway seal of approval. No greater approval in the game, right? And maybe Gabby Simpson will help this week too. Jay, thank you so much for coming on. Enjoy the coming weekend. All the best of luck to Rhinos and Jade in action at Mavericks. Here's what else to look forward to. Round 9, can it be already? Sirens, Dragons, Mavericks, Rhinos, Thunder, Pulse, Stars, Lightning, Wasps, Bath. Who knows after the resurgence where that one goes? And Storm Wasps, which is traditionally one of those that goes clash on the court. Which is going to be the game of the round, do you think, Tamsin Greenway?
Thunder Pulse. Can't wait to see this one. One of the most young, exciting defensive ends we've seen for such a long time go up against one of the older, more experienced, classic, smashing all the goals, Manchester Thunder. This is going to be a good game.
I'm looking forward to our Monday night fixture as well on Sky. But of course, you can watch it, stream it across the weekend, catch up again via the YouTube channel. Talking of older experience, Rachel Dunn, 250 games up last weekend. She says she doesn't think she'll have 250 more. I'm saying she could. I'm starting the campaign now. Did you play in her first game? She probably played in your last game.
Yeah, all of those things happened. I can't believe it. I sent her a little video message. I was asked to. I didn't just do it off the cuff. But I said to her, who'd have thought that 18-year-old tall kid that I used to lob balls at was going to go on to do 250 games. I mean, this year is her big 40th. Don't tell anybody. But it's pretty incredible. Not only her performances, but if you just look at the athlete she is now, the balls that she still takes, it's like watching a young Rachel Dunn still. Pretty incredible, and something we definitely need to applaud and do more of. Celebrate these big milestones for players.
I mean, my favourite Rachel Dunn story is going to be you sending her a video now. That will go down in the annals of time. But for you, do you have a favourite done it story?
There are so many. I think for those who don't know Rachel Dunn, she's a proper character, and she used to process things a lot. So we have a lot of stories at Bath when we used to wind Rachel up a little bit. But honestly, having played with many shooters around the world, Rachel is still one of the greatest takers of the ball that I've ever worked with and coached. She's pretty special.
Pretty special moment as well. Remember the crowd at the World Cup in Liverpool just chanting her name, wanting to get her on court, and she got that moment too and seemed thoroughly embarrassed. Went as red as a Rose's dress. One final one, talking of Roses, England umpire Gary Burgess, he of the golden whistle. We've seen lots of entertainment over the last couple of rounds as well. Clubs really stepping it up. My tambourine somewhere still. I won't get that out again. But he's got suggestions for new songs because, God forbid, not everyone's enjoying Sweet Caroline.
yeah, apparently it's been done, gone. So yeah, he came up with a whole new load of suggestions. My favourite, I Want to Dance with Somebody. Obviously, Whitney. We had the Spice Girls. We had Mr. Brightside, Living on a Prayer, Dancing Queen. So he gave you a selection. DJ Burgess, I think, will be a good night out.
I know he's a good night out. I don't. There's no stories there. Tamsin, as always, thank you. If you have a story about Gary Burgess, feel free to share it. Use the hashtag #OffTheCourt. Until next week, I Want to Dance with Somebody too. Best I don't, though, because my elbows would take them out. Goodbye.